Phew! E3 is over for another year, and while you wait for all those new announcements to actually come out, we're here to bring you a rundown of all the PC games you should be keeping an eye out for this July. Did you know that July was originally the 5th month with the Latin name Quintilis? Oh, right, sorry, video games. Anyway, make sure you like and subscribe to PCGamesN since you're here already. Now, back to this whole July thing. When January and February were added, it became the 7th month and was then eventually renamed after Julius Caesar, whose birthday is, of course... Hey, don't you dare fade me!
Red Faction Guerrilla is getting a fancy new revamp on July 3rd. We're returning to the Big Red Planet in the Re-Mastered edition. That's a pun that only really works in Southern British accents, so well done on choosing PCGamesN for your gaming news today. Guerrilla probably wouldn't seem so special if there had been any good Red Faction games since, but there haven't. For that reason, it looms large in the memory as a deeply silly action game with some of the best building destruction we've ever seen. That's saying something considering that PC gaming is a medium largely dedicated to destroying buildings.
The Banner Saga 3 is the final part of the RPG trilogy, obviously it being the third part, that started 4 years ago. Given the track record of the series and the BioWare pedigree involved, we've no reason to believe this one will be any less great. Well, apart from the precedent established by The Godfather 3, and Spider-Man 3, and The Matrix 3, but that curse is just for films, right? Whereas most RPGs tend to make you stronger over time, the Banner Saga games put you in charge of a dwindling, desperate caravan of refugees. We're in for one last tale of Viking suffering and turn-based combat on July 24th.
You would assume a game called Warhammer 40,000 Gladius Relics of War would be a sequel or a spin-off, but that's just a license. It's not a Warhammer game without 6 or 7 subtitles. This is actually the very first 4X game in 40k ever. On July 12th, an unspeakable horror will awaken on Gladius Prime. I'd love to tell you more, but, you know, unspeakable. You can conquer the planet as the Space Marines, Orcs, Necrons, or the Astra Militarum, which is what they call the Imperial Guard these days. I prefer the Orc terminology though. They're all humies to me.
From Trion Worlds comes the open-world free-to-play sci-fi shooter Defiance 2050. You can play with friends or alone, and you must fight to survive in an ever-evolving environment. Defiance was originally linked to a TV show, which was then cancelled, but the game lives on. In Defiance, you could say, if you liked bad puns. Which I don't, of course. Become a founder and you have the opportunity to have a 4-day head start. Otherwise, it can be yours to play from July 10th.
Apparently, July is the month we find strange new ways to name remasters. Take Shining Resonance, released in the West for the first time as Shining Resonance Refrain. You probably don't remember the original, but you might know Shining Force, the turn-based tactics game from the olden days. Shining Resonance is related, but only in the same way we're all related if you think about it, like very, very distantly. This is a full-fledged JRPG, mainly about fighting dragons, sometimes in the form of a dragon. Buy it on July 10th if you like dragons.
Now here's a question, who wouldn't want to stay in a hotel staffed by robotic Slendermen? Exactly. The Spectrum Retreat is set to release on July 13th on PC, and puts the player in the near future at the Penrose Hotel. You seem to be a valued guest, or at least no one's trying to kill you. As you wander through the beautiful Art Deco hotel, you'll slowly but surely begin to understand why you are there. The only thing in the way of you getting to the bottom of the mysteries of your stay are colour-coded first-person puzzles. They really make you put your physics hat on.
Is it possible to name a game too literally? As it turns out, yeah. AI War 2 is a fitting name for an RTS about playing against the computer. That's undeniable. But it definitely undersells the premise, which is about facing down a superintelligence that has already conquered the galaxy. You start as the underdog. Your only advantage is that the AI doesn't consider you important enough to bother with. Winning the game is a matter of stealing territory and technology without attracting the great eye of synthetic Sauron. Eventually, you can make your play for the galaxy, but its developer is waiting until an opportune moment to decide exactly when, like any true general.
So there are the games that you should be keeping an eye out for in July, and if none of them take your fancy, then at least you know why July is called July, and more importantly and interestingly that it was called Quintilis beforehand. Good times. We hope that juicy list took some of the heat off of the dog days of summer, and if we missed anything, please be sure to let us know in the comments below. But before you go, make sure you like and subscribe to PCGamesN for more video goodness.